everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unplug IT. I'm your host, Stephen Rose. Thanks for joining. Um, let's talk AI, specifically Microsoft Copilot. Last week, there were new announcements and blog posts that came up at the AI event. On October 3rd, OneDrive is going to be making their AI announcements. And of course, there's going to be a whole lot more at Ignite. So with all of that, I kind of went through who can we talk to about this? And I went, there's really only one expert, and that has to be a person who is well known by the MVP, someone well known by all the partners, IT pros, my friend Caruana. How are you, Caruana?
Hi. Hello, Stephen. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you for inviting me on your
Of
show.
course.
You know, I always appreciate being included.
Absolutely. And you have so many great podcasts and stuff that you do. So take a minute and tell us, a little bit about yourself and also where other people can catch you on your podcast and the stuff that you're all doing.
Okay, I sure will. Well, thank you so much. I'm Caruana Gatimu, and I sit in collaborative apps and platform under Jeff Teeper at Microsoft. I run the Microsoft 365 if I could say the name, the Microsoft 365 Customer Advocacy Group. I need some more coffee, clearly.
That's okay.
We really focus on communities, adoption, and guidance, technical readiness, and all the good stuff that goes with that, including events and everything. It is my dream job. I'm a little tired right now because it's been super busy, but it's a great thing. We also have a show called Mondays at Microsoft that I do with my good friend Heather Cook, and we
Yep.
cover everything that's going on across the Microsoft ecosystem every other Monday, streaming live on LinkedIn. My show Coffee in the Cloud on YouTube, and all sorts of other good stuff. But you can see all of that at adoption.microsoft.com, which my team delivers. It's just
Absolutely.
fantastic work.
No, it's awesome. And that's where my previous show was hosted and so much good stuff there. So I want to jump into how people prepare for AI, but really quick, I do want to give a shout out and a quick word from our sponsor, Power Apps 911. So let's take a look at that. We'll come back and we're going to talk about governance, data protection, how do you get ready for Copilot? So we'll be right back.
Thanks, Stephen. Just a reminder to all of you, if you have Office 365, you have the Power Platform. Power Platform is a low-code, no-code platform that lets you build your own apps, workflows, reports, all without writing any of that hard code. If you want to learn more about it, you can go over to training.powerapps911.com. We've got on-demand training, we've got live training, we've got private training, we even have a whole immersive university program, or heck, we'll even do the project for you if you don't want to get your hands too dirty. All right, back over to Stephen.
And we're back. How about that? It just
That's
flies right by.
great.
All right. So IT pros, and I've been chatting with a lot of them are like, okay, I'm seeing all the stuff on Copilot. I think we're going to do this in a limited pilot. There is the cost, which it's not cheap per person. People are saying, well, hey, at $30, dollars a month or so, think of all the extra work you're going to get done. But my whole thing is you have to lock it down. You've got to make sure it's governed. You got to follow guidance and you have to train people how to really use this. So when somebody asks you that question, is it worth it? How easy is it going to be? What do I need to watch out for? What are some of the top things that you're telling them and that, and that the site is walking them through at adoption.microsoft.com?
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the first and most important thing. We have our Copilot Readiness Hub at adoption.microsoft.com WAC Copilot. And that's where people should go to get the latest and greatest up-to-date information on getting ready for Copilot, the implementation, the training, driving adoption of it, and what have you. But I do want people to take a step back and think about the ecosystem of Copilot capabilities, because that's really what we announced at our September 21st event, talking about Microsoft Copilot as a whole, across Windows, across all of our cloud services. This is a huge shift akin to the arrival of the PC on everyone's desk. This ability to have this natural language interface to help you get work done. Right. And it's this relationship actually that you're developing in a much more natural way with your computer than what we've done in the past. And we have three approaches to that. We have Bing Chat, the consumer version of this experience, Bing Chat Enterprise, which allows you to log in with your Azure Active Directory credentials, Microsoft Entra, as it's now referred to, so that your data is protected within the boundaries of that governance and our data protection guarantees. And then Microsoft
Hang on one second.
360.
What does that mean? The data is protected. Does that mean if I was reading somewhere that not only are 70% of them, employees and companies going out and using ChatGPT, but 40% of them are putting in confidential information. So what does
Yes.
that mean when you say that as people are putting in, hey, here's our sales figures and this sort of stuff?
Right. So one of the things we think about the safety layer of
Right?
responsible AI as having four different components, right? There's privacy, security, compliance, and governance in the safety layer. When you're just going out to the public chat GPT, there's no guarantee of encryption while your data is in transit or at rest. There's no guarantees like Microsoft gives you that those queries are going to be cleared. We do not
Mm,
train our large language models on other people's information. The
okay.
queries that you put into Bing Chat Enterprise are not stored in any way, right? And so they're
Okay.
they're they're there in the basically the memory of your browser window. And as soon as you end that session or close that window, those chats go away, those prompts go away. And so, I think it's really important. And every prompt turn you have with Bing Chat Enterprise, you see the little identifier there that says this data is protected. And you
Right.
can click up in the upper right hand corner and go and read all of the protections that we have for you. So that's really important, but it's an important distinction because that is Bing Chat Enterprise that is using not only publicly available data, but information that is that you have access to
I
in that you are
internally.
putting in to Bing Chat, right?
Right.
Now, when you're using Microsoft 365 Copilot, it is actually connected to the Microsoft Graph. And there's further governance and protection there, right? Because that experience, those prompt turns are all happening within your tenant with information that only you as that user have access to. So there's these
Okay.
three levels of the Copilot experiences, Chat GPT type experiences that you can partake in, each with its own level of responsible AI and safety.
One of the things that, I saw in there is the, Copilot copyright commitment. Share what that is.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yes, the copyright commitment is interesting because look, we can see many people concerned today about the ability to basically create deep fakes, to create information that you're passing off essentially as your own, that you actually used Copilot to create or any sort of chat GPT interface. Obviously, it's very creative because you can use Dolly type experiences to generate images and what have you, but making sure that our customers are protected when they're using our services appropriately is very important to Microsoft. And so, basically, what we're saying is, if you enter into any legal difficulty because of the using our Copilot services, we will help protect you. We will bring our lawyers to bear to make sure that you are not, subject to those sorts of lawsuits. One of the things that is important about that, however, is as with all of those types of commitments, we talk about is your system configured properly? And that
Right.
involves doing the good data hygiene and governance that we've always been telling people to do in Microsoft 365, right? Does everybody have clear identities? Do you have two-factor authentication turned on? This sort of things. And there is a checklist of readiness actions that you can take that is there on the adoption.microsoft.com Copilot site.
And that's part of the Microsoft trusted model kind of as a whole,
Absolutely.
which is, hey, hit these settings and we guarantee you these levels, SLAs, security, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And frankly, whether you're using Copilot or not, those things are good to do, right?
Oh, God,
Copilot
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, Copilot is asking people, and I've been talking about governance for almost all of my career in Microsoft, right? Teamwork governance, check out that URL. I've been talking about that for a long time because people get really worried about security. They get whether we're talking about provisioning a SharePoint site or provisioning a team or an Office 365 group. Everybody's always been worried about sprawl, but they need to be more worried about archival and deletion and having a life cycle around all of
Right.
those data containers, right? And so
Yeah.
if you're not thinking about that, you absolutely should be, because that's another way that you make sure that your users have access to the information they're supposed to have access to.
Right.
Having good information architecture is important across Microsoft 365 and will be a precursor to people getting the proper answers when they're integrating with Microsoft 365 Copilot. But here's the thing, all of that being said, I love Copilot, and I didn't know that I was going to from an end user perspective. Uh, but when I was able to have it summarize meetings for me that I wasn't in, find my
Right.
action items, help me understand what's outstanding in my inbox. The other day, I had it help me, begin writing a document so that then I could go and refine it. These sorts of productivity gains are ubiquitous across the roles that we have in organizations today. And so the effort to clean house and be ready is 100% worth it, no matter how large or small your organization may be.
I agree. Yeah, no, absolutely. So people are looking at this like, hey, this is going to be, a little over 3 grand a user per year. And let's face it, users and companies are a year behind on what they're now finally starting to roll out and use, like in Teams. I mean, we know that 18 months, the stuff we announced 18 months ago that has come out, customers are now just really starting to use it and get in the groove and understand it. So, how do we talk to customers? And how's Microsoft talking to customers saying, hey, you don't want to wait a year and a half, 2 years. You want to start prepping for this now. And how do you get people who are still not getting all of the value out of Teams and the investments they made there to now add something that, even though it will simplify life later, does add a little level of complexity for some of these folks. So how do you approach that when you're talking to folks?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. I mean, I really look at kind of fun with fundamentals, right? Are you already moving people to the new teams? If you're not, take my word for it, you 100% should.
Yes.
Every
And
inch
and
of
and I do wanna jump in
yeah,
and say something. For those who have not, there was, yeah, it didn't work with plugins. It's working with all that now. I've even
yeah,
gotten a new version for Mac, which I've started playing with. All the functionalities there. It is so much faster, uses so much less. And I just got a new feature popped up today that says, "Hey, you have these messages specifically in these other tenants," which is
that's
great, and I've
right.
been waiting for that. Yes.
It's a
So,
huge game changer. So, my point
yes,
is, this is
agreed.
part of a productivity refresh. So, a lot of us at the beginning of the pandemic, we went through what we call rapid deployments. And rapid
Right,
deployments got everybody in teams so we could stay connected and have meetings. And then those rapid deployments turned into actual production deployments as people continued through the pandemic and as time went on, some people returned to the office. The truth is that some of these implementations need a refresh for people to get more. And the new
right,
teams, because it's not a deployment or a migration, it's a very, very
right,
simple client upgrade. You can find all the information about that on adoption.microsoft.com as well. But this gives people a great foundation. Now, it's not a prerequisite, but it is an important step forward to really doing what you're saying, which is making sure people are getting the most out of what they already have. Once you have that and you're getting those productivity gains, what we hope is that people will be hungry for more simplification, for making your life actually easier, and for improving your ability to be creative, to unlock me, particularly from, having to manage my inbox and all the email that I get, and instead being able to get the insights and the important information out of there, whether it's in Outlook, whether it's in Teams, all across Microsoft services. So, I feel like there are certain people in your organization who need that productivity right away, and maybe others who can wait a little bit. It's very much like the Teams premium conversation. You're going to want to take a look at the user requirements in your own organization, but everybody needs more productivity, right? Everybody
right.
needs to have their creativity unlocked. So while, yes, it is an investment, I'm really excited about the capabilities page on support.microsoft.com and the end user training resources that are there. And we also announced Copilot Labs at our event last week.
I saw that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and Copilot Labs, this is a two-tier conversation. So Copilot Labs is a library of prompts that have successful responses. We call that a turn, right? You put in a prompt, you get some information back, and it's successful when you keep the information you get back. And certain prompts and the way that you structure them get really good responses. Copilot Labs is the place where you can learn about that as an end user. But as an IT professional, right, it's important to be thinking about, hey, how do I become a more skillful prompt engineer? There's a great Work Labs article about the art of the prompt, right? And this is something we should all be thinking about in terms of how do we evolve and think about our work in such a way that we can have this natural language conversation about it and get insights and information that we need.
It
So,
is the same way
I
that a
feel
lot of companies created custom dictionaries that had all the
that's
terms
right.
for healthcare or legal or things like
Right.
that back in the day, which they would put into Word and all that. So it wasn't always flagging those everyday things. And some of those pharmaceuticals are very long. So it made sure that they were spelled
That's right.
correctly. So same kind
That's
of
right.
thing. Yeah.
Same kind of thing, but even more so because if you're using Microsoft 365 Copilot inside the boundaries of your tenant, where you have proprietary and custom information about your business, when you ask for that insight, it is going to look at the ecosystem that you're working within in that boundary in a safe and secure way and return insights to you. Right. And so that's another differentiator between Bing Chat Enterprise and using
Right.
Copilot within Microsoft 365 is real access to your business data there. But again, all within the boundaries of safety. We're not using that data to train our models. It stays within your boundary. All of that is guaranteed, and we go that step forward to also ensure, ethical use of these particular capabilities.
Yeah. I had a IT pro who over Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called this week said to me,
So I
"Hey,
will not call it X. I'm sorry. Not going to do that.
I'm the same way. It's gonna be Twitter forever.
It's
Same way
Twitter.
it's the Sears Tower in Chicago, not the Willis Tower. I'm sorry. I refuse to
Yes, that's
rename it.
right.
That's just the way it's supposed to be. So, but he said to me, and it was a really good prompt. He's like, he's like, I've sat a bunch of your sessions, Stephen, and you talk about the four generations and how difficult it is for C-level executives. He goes, but I have C-level executives coming, hey, I want to try this Copilot thing, but they are the hardest people to get them to change how they work and how they're doing things. And I'm like, look, this is going to help you when you go on vacation or you miss meetings, etc. So I know we have a lot of great resources, but what is your advice to those IT pros? What is the best way to help get those executives on the path? Because that is where you're going to get the best success quickly and really give you what you're going to need to deploy it more widely once you get that buy-in.
Absolutely. I've said this multiple times since I started working on the Copilot adoption strategy for Microsoft 365, which is this is not about teaching someone how to click something on a screen or on their phone.
Right.
Now, the advantage you have with executives is they are already used to a certain level of strategic thinking, and all you're asking them to do is talk to something. That is what they do all day long. They talk to people and they ask for information. And so now what you're asking them to do is talk to Copilot and ask for information and get used to successful ways of asking for what they want. And I feel like that is actually a little bit easier. And we've seen even in our early adoption populations, that's a little bit easier than some of us who are used to doing all the time, right? You have a
Right.
tactile memory of typing on your keyboard and trying to find a task or doing a search in Outlook or in Teams for that matter, with varying levels of success. And so you have that muscle memory, right, of actually the doing. I think when you're an executive or you're like a principal manager like me, you're quite used to asking for something to be done. So now we have to teach people who are used to actually doing the doing to ask for what they need, to think about their work differently so they can ask for the insight. They can ask for the draft of a letter that they're going to write to a
Right.
customer. They can ask, for instance, Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft Sales Copilot, being able to ask that system for insights about a customer when you're trying to respond to an RFP or respond to an incident. That is something that I also feel is an easier thing to do. So, focusing on asking for what you need and the things that you want to know is really the difference in the way that you teach this versus I want you to click these 5 buttons and set up your, Teams meeting options correctly, right?
Yeah, I had said it very similarly, which is think about every time your boss sends an email asking for some form of information. How much of this did we sell last year? Where are we keeping this? Where is this at? What are our top three? Whatever they would send out in this email to try it as a Copilot ask. And not only will they get that information, but they can get it customized exactly the way they want and get it right now, not have to wait for that response. Well, what about this? And going back and forth and solving something over 2, 3 days. You're
Right.
solving it, getting that information in minutes, arming yourself and preparing yourself, or even having that information once it knows you want that to have it already on demand and perhaps already given to you before you even ask for it because it's going to know end of the month you're going to want all the salespeople's quotas and all that information and drop it in there for you and put that all together.
Right. And it doesn't do all of that yet, but I certainly know in the
No,
future it will. And here's the thing. It doesn't when you do get an answer, and this is one thing I want everybody to really understand. No matter what version of generative AI service you're using, ours or others, there's vendors, there's all sorts of people. You have to check the answer. You have to check the answer
right,
for accuracy. We are essential in ensuring that we have accurate information being returned to us. So even though that executive can ask that question, one of the things that I like is that executives analyst, like anticipating the question that might come from their boss, asking it, proofing the data, and then sending it off, right? But
right.
the time that that analyst saved in data assembly, data integration, this is why things like Copilot and in our data tools and in Power Platform is so essential, right? Because it's bringing together that data estate with these AI services in a way, especially within the boundaries of your own tenant and your Microsoft subscriptions, that can provide you those sorts of answers very quickly. But we, as the humans in the loop, have to make sure that we're always proofing our answers for accuracy and helping to make sure that what we're sharing is based in fact.
Got it. So upgrading to new teams is absolutely is a good part of that. Number two, obviously getting all your content into the cloud is going to be key because
Yes,
without all of that content, if you're in hybrid or things like that, you're not going to get that level of accuracy that you want. But it then is how are you securing this? What is your guidance, GDPR, hold your own key, any of those things? It's really taking a look at that. So those are the first three steps.
that's
One
right.
of the things that I love that you talk about all the time is change champions. So, what should
Yes.
change champions be doing now and thinking now as they start to move forward?
Oh, this is so important. So, change champions, adoption specialists, user experience folks, adoption managers, whatever you may be called, if you're in the business of helping people, adopt new technology and you do any sorts of peer training, you really need to join our Microsoft 365 Champions program. That is where we deliver slideware that you can use, strategies that you can use to drive adoption, and you can really raise your game. There's going to be a lot of content there in the champions community. We hold a monthly community call where you're going to be able to use our work to leverage your own. And again, it's about, for me, being a champion has always been about having hands on knowledge so that I could
Right.
relate to the people that I was trying to assist. So make sure that you too are. If your organization doesn't have Microsoft 365 Copilot or those Copilot experiences across our ecosystem, use Bing Chat Enterprise or just use Bing Chat so that you get the actual visceral feeling of having this interaction in this natural language method in terms of having it craft answers that are useful to you that you can keep. So you have those successful turns within the experience. I don't think that there's any substitute for that. So get your own personal experience, have your own aha moment, join our champions community so we can empower you with our assets. And remember that, there's a lot of kind of hype and conversation about AI right now that is really leveraging people's addiction to sci-fi movies and fear. We are
Yeah.
here to stand, opposite of that. Our responsible AI practices, our commitment to safety and ethics, the approach that we're taking to ensure that this lifts all boats, it makes us the antithesis of some of those fears. But you have to go through that emotional journey yourself, right? You have to get
Right.
comfortable with it if you're going to help anybody else.
Oh, no, absolutely. I agree 100%. All right. So this guidance is really key for folks to go in and start to get their change champions up to speed, start to teach folks, hey, here's how this is going to help. Oh, I know. There were two questions that got asked. One was, do I have to have Windows 11? And what if I'm on a Mac? There were two questions I got. So,
That's
because of
great.
the announcements for the integration of Copilot into Windows 11, why don't we start with that one? Do folks have to have Windows 11 to take full advantage? Or for our customers who are still on Windows 10, are they going to get all the goodness and all the benefits?
They do need to have Windows 11. That is the current strategy of record. And, it's a twofold strategy there. We want people to be on Windows 11. It is our best experience. And
Agreed.
it has so many performance and security gains as well as usability improvements. So we really want you to be on Windows 11. And that is where we're delivering the most value also. It's not that Copilot capabilities won't be available on a Mac, but they're not built into the operating system the way they are
Right.
on a Windows machine. And so, you know, we're Microsoft. We love Windows. We always have. We're always going to innovate there first. And that also helps us help as many business leaders as possible, as well as many people who are small business owners or who are using the home version. This is one of our largest free updates of Windows ever, with so many new capabilities across apps like Paint and other things, as well as the Copilot capabilities. And this also, because it's in the operating system, unlocks our ability to improve the experience with our own hardware as well. So, of course, we announced new Surface devices last week also. So, as you can see, I mean, it's an ecosystem of improvement across the operating system, across the hardware, and then, of course, across all our Microsoft AI services.
And Apple does that all the time. They create features and functionality that are perfect for their platform, not for
Yeah,
everybody else's. So, and that's absolutely fair. What if what if Mac folks are using the web client? Are they still going to see a lot of that goodness that they might not see on the desktop client?
absolutely, absolutely. I am
There we
coming
go.
to you
Okay.
right now from a Mac machine that I happen to be testing. I am using all of those features on my Mac on the web. It is awesome. There you go. Ooh, you got the midnight black. I like that.
It's called Midnight Blue or Midnight Black, but it's very
Uh,
pretty. Yes.
Midnight blue. Yeah, that's really pretty. Um, so
Yes.
yes, absolutely. And that is one of the things about all of our services. Those web experiences are first party experiences in the sense that, we develop for them. They're available
Right.
in the cloud. And I have really gotten used to working on the web. That if that's something that you tried back in the day and you didn't like Outlook on the web or
Oh,
PowerPoint on the
God,
web,
try it again.
try it again. Try it again. It has come
So many
so
cool
far.
new features that are not on the desktop client that you go, "Wait a minute, why this is so cool and this makes life so much better." 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and
Absolutely.
also, then I don't have to open the whole app on my desktop. I save memory. I have because I'm one of those people that has, I don't know, 50 browser windows open and a couple of different profiles at any time. So not
Yeah.
having it open on my desktop is a good thing. But there's a lot of things where people developed an opinion about something when it was new or early on, just like the new teams. But we invite you to come back again because the innovation doesn't stop here. We're really on quite a roll as a company. I've never been prouder to be a Microsoft employee than I am right now because of everything we're doing, but also the way in which we're doing it and how inclusive we're being with each other. Thousands of people focus on improving this one experience together, from the organization that used to really show its seams to the world to be
Yes.
and consolidated with this focus of responsible AI and democratizing access to it. I get a little misty about it because I think it's
A little
it's a
verklempt.
tremendous moment. I'm really proud.
I agree. Yeah, especially for a company that was so siloed for so long, to see this work across those silos and everybody sort of going, yeah, how do we get it into these different products and create more value by getting them all to talk together becomes really important. So what
Right.
sort of webinars and things can folks go to start to learn more, to start to get ready? Besides going to the adoption.microsoft.com/copilot page, what else is really important for folks to be able to take advantage of now before the October 3rd event and before Ignite?
Absolutely. Well, on that page at adoption.microsoft.com, you can join our Microsoft 365 Copilot community. That is on our tech community. Every month there, we have Ask Microsoft Anything. So if there are questions that you have that are specific to your organization, bring it to one of our AMAs. We're happy to answer your questions. It's also super useful to read the transcripts of the prior AMAs, because I guarantee if you asked a question, probably someone else did as well. We're actually using all of those questions to continue to enhance our frequently asked questions documents and other product documentation, so that we can continue to improve and address folks' concerns. And so, yeah, definitely get involved in the community. Of course, ignite.microsoft.com. You have to join us at Ignite. We are sold out in person. And the pre-day that we're doing to teach Microsoft 365 adoption in the era of AI sold out in less than 4 hours, which is pretty amazing. I'm excited to be teaching that with my team. But the content itself from the conference will, of course, be available online. So register for our Ignite conference so that you can participate in hearing more of these announcements live. And we've really made a push for more technical sessions there. So I think all of the IT Pro folks will be happy this year with the type of content they'll experience at Ignite.
Yeah, and if you don't get everything you want at Ignite, there is the M365 conferences, which are great. There's the EduCon conferences. I'm going to be at EduCon. I'm going to be a tech mentor. So if you're looking to get into some of that 400 level, there are great opportunities at those conferences to do that, meet very often with you and other folks from engineering to really get into that nitty gritty if you're not able to do it at Ignite. So don't feel that that's
Exactly.
kind of your one and only chance. Yeah.
And I'm really excited to be going to ESPC this year. That's going to be in Amsterdam right after Ignite at the end of
So much fun.
November. So I get a chance to go see our European friends. And so, yeah, that is another thing to always be aware of, is the community of both paid and free events around the world is really coming back post-pandemic. And you can always find these events that are community driven, whether they're for a fee, an attendee fee, community produced, or whether they're volunteer led and organized and are free to attendees at communitydays.org. That's a part of our Microsoft Global Community Initiative. I have the privilege of running with my friend Heather and others across Microsoft. And so, this is the time to lean into the community, lean in to learning this with friends and
Yep.
others, whether it's local in your neighborhood or virtually around the world. This is a tremendous career opportunity for many of us. I remember the advent of the PC and the creation of the cloud and what it did for my career. This is a moment like that. So make sure that you're thinking about how you're going to have this benefit your career, because it's absolutely an opportunity. And wherever you may be, one of the things I wanted to mention is that many of our enterprise customers, there's not enough adoption managers in the world, right? There are lots
No.
of places that don't actually have an adoption specialist or somebody focused on user experience. And that is a huge miss. The organizations that do have meaningfully more adoption and productivity gains from Microsoft 365 than those organizations that don't. And so if that's something that, you're passionate about, like I am, there's an absolute career path there. So use this moment to benefit yourself and your family, because, this type of change doesn't happen very often in our lives.
100%. I mean, that's a lot of what I'm doing with several companies is really sitting down there going, we want to make better use of what we've gotten and paid for. And like
Yeah.
most folks who move from Skype for Business to Teams, they're not using all that functionality. And very often it's going back to the beginning on how they collaborate, what email is really great for, understanding how to retain great talent through collaboration, all of this. And it all ends up not only with cost savings, but time savings for people
Oh,
who go,
yes.
holy crap, I'm getting more done in less time and getting home and, having more time for my kids' baseball games or whatever is important to you.
Right,
If you,
exactly. Because look,
whatever.
time is
Yeah.
time is an irreplaceable asset. in my life, in the lives of everyone. You can't replace time. You're not generating any more of it. It's not something you can grow or manufacture. And so, your time is very, very valuable. That's why I respect it when people come to one of my sessions or something. They're giving me their most valuable assets, which is their time and their attention. And so, I really believe that these tools that we have at our fingertips now in any organization, large or small, can be used to drive clarity and culture and collaboration. All three of those things are a currency for productivity and being competitive in the business environment we find ourselves in. And so it's really important that we lean into that, but also have some fun, right? Have some fun in your career. Enjoy what you're doing. I believe that there is a job out there for everyone that mixes people's talent and their passion and their impact together and gives them meaning. And so I definitely am not one of those people that thinks that work should be drudgery. Sometimes it takes some hard work to get where you want to go, but it's worth it. And now's the time to make a pivot.
Wow, I can't think of any way to top that except to say adoption.microsoft.com. Check out all the cool content. This, as always, you are amazing and smart and inspiring, and more people should get a chance to meet you in person and see that you are this all of that, and you see that in three dimensions is amazing, and you are so approachable. And I want to say that to folks. I have seen you spend hours, folks stopping you in the halls, pulling you over, reaching out to you on Twitter. You are always there for folks and always available to answer questions. And I so appreciate that. And I know our audience does too. So
Oh,
it is the real
that's so
deal.
nice.
Go see Ms. Caruana in person.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's always a pleasure, right? I mean, I am the nerd girl from school that's always really happy that people are going to talk to me. So I am really excited to help whoever I can. That is the purpose of my role. I'm here to be of service, and I think it's a great opportunity to get to do that. So thank you for having me, Stephen. It's always great
Of
to hang
course.
out with
Thank you.
you. Happy to come back anytime and really enjoy your show. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for taking some time out. For everybody else, this has been Unplug IT. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have questions for myself or Caruana, send them on over. We'll make sure that we do it. And Caruana, I have a bunch of those mugs coming to you. So look forward to that.
Yay. Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.